Hello everyone, I am Tamissira Silva, a doctorate student from the University of Paraíba in Brazil and Université du Littoral Côte d'Opale in France, and I'm going to present to you today the dry and steam reforming of methane reactions in the presence of cobalt, nickel, magnesium, aluminum nanofibers, and hydrotalcite precursors. The world population has been increasing, and we have currently attained a yearly increase of 1%, leading to a world population of 7.7 billion people. It is expected that even though the increase rate will be reduced by 10, the world population will be higher than 10 billion in 80 years. Therefore, the need for raw materials, for houses, for clothes, for food and energy will highly increase as well. Currently, the main sources of energy used worldwide are fossil fuels such as coal, oil, natural gas, and nuclear power. However, these sources are limited and we currently have a much higher consumption than production rate. For this reason, it's estimated that in the near future, these sources will be completely consumed, which is why many researchers are currently working on substituting fossil fuels renewable energy sources such as biomass, solar, wind, and hydroelectric power. Hydrogen is considered as an important energy carrier because it can be used as fuel for transport, for electricity, and heating. Currently, hydrogen is globally known and used for many applications. However, 95% of hydrogen is produced from fossil fuels. Even though it can be considered as a clean energy, it is still not yet sustainable for the far future. For this reason, it's important to shift from fossil fuels to renewable fuels as a source of hydrogen. For example, using electrolyzer technologies to produce green hydrogen, or using chemical reactions such as the dry or steam reforming of methane. Both of these reactions produce a synthesis gas made of hydrogen and carbon monoxide, which can be used individually or together in different industrial applications, such as methanol or ammonia production or Fischer-Tropsch processes. Even though these reactions have great advantages, such as eliminating one or two of the main greenhouse gases and producing a clean source of energy, they also have a big disadvantage, which is the endothermic nature of both reactions. This fact renders them thermodynamically impossible to occur at temperatures lower than 630 degrees. In the temperature range favorable for the dry reforming reaction, several secondary reactions such as methane decomposition, water-gas shift reaction, boudoir reaction can also occur. It's therefore important to use a catalyst in order to increase the kinetics of the DRM and SRM reactions at lower temperatures and to be selective to these reactions as opposed to secondary reactions. The materials we have used for this study contain nickel and cobalt, known for being active in the reforming reactions, magnesium, which increases the thermal stability of the material, as well as alumina, that increases the specific area. The materials were synthesized by two different methods to obtain hydrotalcite precursors that have a large surface area and high thermal stability, as well as nanofibers that increase the dispersion of active phase and increase the resistance to carbon deposition. The nanofibers were synthesized using solution blow spinning method. The solution containing the nitrates, ethanol, and PVP is inserted in an airbrush, projected using nitrogen onto an inox collector. Hydrotalcite precursors were synthesized by coprecipitation while maintaining a pH at 9. Both of the samples were calcined at 800 degrees for 4 hours. Part of the hydrotol calcined sample was grinded in a mechanical miller for 1 hour in order to study the effect of grinding on the performance of catalytic materials. The catalysts are tested in the steam and dry reforming of methane in this setup, with the only difference being the gas feed composition and flow rate. Prior to the test, the 100 milligrams of calcined samples are reduced at 800 degrees for 1 hour using hydrogen. The CH4, argon, CO2 or H2O mixture is passed through the quartz reactor containing the catalyst and then analyzed by gas chromatography coupled to a TCD detector. The 12-hour stability tests are conducted at 700 degrees, during which the activity, selectivity, and stability of the catalysts is monitored. This graph shows the activity and the stability of the catalysts by following methane conversion during the 12-hour tests. First of all, we can notice that all catalysts remain stable during the 12 hours. Moreover, an initial activation period was needed for both hydrotol site and grinded catalysts, while the fibers were active since the beginning. This could be due to the reducibility of the oxides. This graph represents the average methane conversion during the stability test after the initial activation period. A higher activity was noticed for the fiber materials. However, no difference was noticed between the calcined and the grinded hydrotol sites. Moreover, all three catalysts showed extremely high selectivity to hydrogen, which means that all of the methane that was converted was transformed into hydrogen. To find out if this was due exclusively to the steam reforming reaction, we monitored the H2/CO ratio. As shown on the graph, the H2/CO ratio was superior to 3 for all catalysts, which means that secondary reactions are taking place, causing the quantity of H2 to increase and CO to decrease, or both simultaneously. In this case, the most probable reaction is the water-gas shift reaction, in which CO reacts with water to produce CO2 and hydrogen, which explains the ratio above 3. The H2 ratio for the grinded catalyst was higher than the other materials, signaling that this reaction was favored in the presence of this catalyst. The occurrence of this reaction is confirmed by the presence of CO2 in the outlet gas. The CO/CO2 ratio was used to determine the main reaction taking place. Having a ratio above 1 shows that not all of the CO is being converted into CO2. The lower CO/CO2 ratio of the grinded catalyst confirms the higher occurrence of the water-gas shift reaction. Finally, the used catalysts were analyzed by DTA-ATG to evaluate the carbon resistance capacity of all samples. Results show that after the initial weight loss related to water evaporation and the weight gain related to metals reoxidation, no weight difference related to carbon oxidation was observed, showing that either no carbon was formed during the test or that the carbon that was formed was directly oxidized by water, CO, or CO2. This concludes the results for the steam reforming tests. Now for the dry reforming of methane, 12-hour stability tests were also performed in the presence of 3 samples at 700 degrees. Both fibers and hydrotol site catalyst showed a stable activity during the 12 hours. However, the grinded catalyst had a continuous deactivation for the first few hours, and then completely deactivated after 9 hours on stream. As you can see on the graph showing the average conversion of methane during the dry reforming test, we notice that both catalysts show a high conversion of methane, with a slight advantage to the fibers. The same tendency is noticed in regards to CO2 conversion. In addition, the conversion of CO2 being higher than methane signals to the occurrence of a secondary reaction. This is in accordance with the H2/CO ratio inferior to 1. This result is linked to the occurrence of the reverse water-gas shift reaction that consumes hydrogen and produces carbon monoxide. The used samples were also analyzed using thermal analysis. This analysis has led to the identification of the cause of deactivation in the case of the grinded catalyst. The DTA results for this catalyst show two exothermic peaks at 460 degrees and at 500 degrees related to two different types of carbon. Both of these peaks are linked to a carbon-related weight loss of 58%. This catalyst was deactivated by an excessive formation of carbon. The other two catalysts produced carbon as well, but in a lower quantity. On the DTA graph, we can notice two peaks at 450 and 500 degrees, related to a weight loss of 20%. This quantity of carbon was not enough to deactivate the catalysts. It's interesting to point out that the carbon produced in the presence of hydrothalcide sample was oxidized at lower temperature than the fibers. This difference could play a role in a longer stability test. In conclusion, the studied materials are active in both reactions. The fibers showed the highest performance in the steam and the dry reforming of methane reactions. Their stable and high activity as well as their low carbon formation are advantages towards an overall better catalytic performance. The hydrothalcide sample was also highly active in both reactions, with a carbon formation and dry reforming of methane similar to that of fibers. However, the grinded sample favored the water-gas shift reaction during the SRM, which could be interesting from an industrial point of view, but was not efficient in the dry reforming of methane reaction because of an excessive production of carbon. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.